Right, so last time we had implemented the multiplayer game, like only the server and the client, and basically it's gonna connect, like the client is gonna connect to the server. We see that message. The server is gonna send a message with, hey, you have to spawn a client, right? Then when another client connects, now we cannot really see that well, but both clients are gonna receive a message to spawn the new client. Then the new client is gonna receive a message with all the previous clients or players, and then it's gonna spawn its own player in the game. So that's the workflow basically. And right now we don't have any input, so that's what we need to add next, taking the input from the client and sending it to the server. Also we have to fix when you close the window it should close the entire game, but that's for a later time. Make the game a bit more pretty. So yeah, basically the idea for today is to add the input for the clients, send the messages to the server, and handle the messages there. So yeah, well, on the server we have this player class. This is gonna be representing I think the clients, so probably we're gonna make it threaded so that we can run each client on its own thread. Something like that I think makes sense, because right now we have a single thread, or I guess we have a thread for accepting connections, right? And I think that here, after we accept the connection and send the messages with spawn the player and stuff, we have to start a new thread for the newly added player and listen for messages from the player, right? So that we can make updates. And then on the main thread, I think we can reuse the main thread because it doesn't do anything. I think we can use the main thread to broadcast the player's position to all other players and broadcast the coin position. So I think that's what we can do there, right? And then on the client, we have the same classes like player and coin, but this time they only are used to draw, right? Like this is the UI part. And in the player lobby, this one yeah, I mean, still needs a separate thread for the networking part and a separate thread for drawing. So we have main thread does drawing, and we spawn a thread for, where is it, for receiving the messages. So yeah, basically my idea is this new thread is going to receive messages, and I think these are going to be all the messages for now. Like player updates the player position, the coin updates the coin's position, add player adds a new like I guess opponent or other player to the game, and authorized player says that the player that we just added is you. I don't know, it's it has the same content as add player, but this way we can differentiate between, I guess, local host and or I guess local player and other players, something like that, So as I said, the idea for this first step is to handle the input and send the message to the server, right? I guess that's the main thing we have to do. And to handle the input, we actually have something that in a past game, I guess, that we made in a demo, so we can reuse that, right? Basically, if we use the bindings from Raylib for key pressed. So if we pressed A, then something happens. The same for D, W, and S. So how does the message look like, right, for the player input? I guess that's important to know, because we already made a message, but we don't use it. So player input takes has the following format, right? So it has the player ID. We want to know who sent the message to move. Now I guess this can be hacked, but I mean, for now it works. I don't know how to make it more secure though. Probably you have to have something like authentication and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it works. Then we send 4 booleans, which are gonna take up a single byte, and they're gonna be ones or zeros, depending on whether key A is true or false. So yeah, okay, and I mean, serializing and deserializing doesn't really matter right now. So let's go back to the client. Basically here I would create, let's say, the key A, key D, and so on, booleans. So let key A is gonna be a boolean, then probably key D is gonna be a boolean, and they are all gonna be set to false by default, right? I think these are probably enough. Although we can set them to, so let me just do the following: put them on separate lines and use the statement from inside the if to set each one to, well, instead of equal we have to use this. So then can I just do something? I don't know if I can do this. It's worth trying though. Okay, it actually worked. So okay, and basically this is how we know if you pressed the keys, right? And message.cl. Okay, and now we have to create the message, right? We have to create the message. So we need a player ID, which we can take from the player lobby, because the player lobby holds the current player ID, right? So how can we say that? It's gonna be message, it's player input. So message is gonna be of type player input, and we need to say player input.init. Say player, whoa, player input.init, and here we need to pass in lobby.player ID and pass in all the keys. I think they are in order: A, D, W, and S. Okay. So yeah, this creates the new message, and to send the new message we have to I guess I need a new function on the lobby to make it easier, because if we take a look on the server from the multiplayer game, we have we have the send here, so we can put that down here. And let's see, I guess we are not gonna need the player here, And if we go into net, I just moved the client and the server into a new file because it just feels a bit nicer. So yeah, basically the client doesn't care about the sockfd of the server because it already knows it, but probably the server cares because it has multiple clients, so it needs to differentiate between them. So yeah, it means that the client can just call send and pass in the message, and that's everything. So here it's gonna be client send, and yeah, this is everything. So we can say something like in lobby send message fee. I guess no, just that. So yeah, I guess let's see if this actually sends messages. Right now we don't even handle them, so let me just add in here a new io.out string sending message, whatever. Let's rebuild this. Okay, and if we should see that it sends a message each frame, right, even though we don't click anything. That's, I think that's good. But I think sending the message each frame is okay. Yeah, probably it is. So although I guess not sending a message at all if all of them are false is the same thing as sending a message. So we might see if we need optimization, right? If need optimizations, we can ignore when all keys are false, right? I think, but we'll have to see. So yeah, right now we send the messages, but we don't really handle the messages, right? We don't really handle the messages. So to handle the messages, yeah, we would need to actually convert this. I mean, I can create a new class, right? But we don't even use player, so I guess we can make it a thread. So this should inherit thread, right? And if we inherit thread, I mean, we don't really need to implement run, but let me see, run, does it go with object? I think so. And I haven't figured out yet how to make the thread actually return. So yeah, I mean, we don't even need that. So anyway, yeah, and here we need the sock fd. It's gonna be an integer. So I think, is this the same as the client? I don't remember. The client has player ID, so we can maybe say player ID to make it look the same. Interesting. How did I set the player ID? Ah, okay, it's in here. So in here I said PID init, and we set it. And I guess we also need the getter. Not sure if we need a getter, but what we need to do, well, actually, yeah, we might need it. So what, like, we need to create it, right? So where is it in this one? So I guess I can search for player it, and basically we need this thing. We need to replace this, and here client FD. So now we actually instantiate a player instead of just using the client FD. Yeah, I know it's kind of scuffed that we have numbers like this, but it's still fine. I mean, as long as we use the same numbers, it's fine. So that's okay. I guess the other thing is maybe we should use a variable. So okay, so let me just take this here and say player is gonna be something like this. We already have the file descriptor, so we can create the object. Okay, then we just say that the client connected and whatever. Then we do this stuff. Here we append the player, and well, we need another thing there, so we need a pthread. And basically this pthread object, I think it should be different than the one from main, so I think this one should be here. Let's say now that we have a pthread, we can actually run, because my idea is each pthread might also have extra objects on it, like mutex and stuff, or at least be able to create a mutex, I don't know, something like that. So then basically each time you have a pthread object, all the threads that are that it contains, that it manages, I don't know, it can manage with, you know, its reference with mutex and stuff. Yeah, I mean, for now I don't need that, but I don't even think you need that in games. Yeah. Who knows? So to spawn a thread, we just do this thing. So okay, we just have to well, I mean, spawn player. Interesting. Like, we don't really use the thread ID, but and even then I think we can even spawn the thread right here. I don't think we thread player thread. Yeah, we don't even use this, so maybe clean up thread IDs, like here do a join or something, clean up threads. But that means, you know, we have to store them somewhere, and then yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal, but this thing is never gonna execute anyway, so why bother, I guess, because we have here a while true, and that means this will never exit. I guess it's even more powerful than while trues in C, because we don't have a break, so that means you cannot stop a while true loop. Well, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. So okay, now we have list of players, right? So instead of having, let's say, like in our iterator, right, we no longer have integers. So what that means is that here we have a list of players, right? So this one is no longer gonna be an integer. It's gonna be, let's make a copy for it, it's gonna be a player. So here we want to send to the newly spawned guy player.player ID, right? We don't do that anymore. Yeah, I wish there was a nicer way, I guess. Maybe here I should have put another kind of object, like a string or something, so that, because object matches with int. Anyway, we know where we have the loops, so it's fine. So if it's a player, then we send the player ID. Here we don't do anything. Broadcast to the new player, or I guess broadcast the new client file descriptor, send player authorize, and then send all other players to the current player. Okay, makes sense. And in broadcast here, in this one, I guess, oh, interesting, this is a list of players, right? I guess, where do we use, why does it complain on this one? I guess we'll find out. Not really sure though why it complains. I forgot the parentheses. Yeah, so here we still have a list of players, right? I'm not sure where I use send though. So send looks like it works with a file descriptor, so it needs an int. That's okay, because here we can say player ID, and this should be player. All right, I think this works. Okay, so now instead of just using an integer here, we use an entire player object. So I think line 31. Okay, I mean, expect it to have some, oh, we don't do anything in the run method, so let's just say 0. Let's just check that stuff still kind of works. I don't know how we can check that, but I mean, as long as we can see, you know, client connected and stuff, it should probably be fine. Okay, right, looks like it works. Okay, well, what should we do in the player thread? I guess, what should we do here? Well, I think it should be similar to the receive from the client itself, but the messages that we care about are just player input, I think. So player input, right, we care about player input, and funnily enough we already have update which does the movement, basically, right? We have this. So yeah, I think that's good. So basically now the messages are gonna be applied, right? Okay, and the next thing maybe we can even print this just to see that this happens, I guess. New IO out string player moved. I guess player moved is always going to happen. I would like to see maybe moved and then I guess the positions. Hopefully, well, see, like it didn't work for some reason. Okay, let's make the undefined on line 31. Okay. Oh, I guess this is a reference to what though? Does it need a reference to the server? Yeah, I think so. It needs a reference to the server. So I guess let's give the client that. So server is gonna be a server. And like this is the, okay, let's call it SV server. So this needs to do server, receive, and I think player ID. Yeah, like it needs to receive the messages for player ID, like on the player ID socket. And here what we'll do next is probably buffering the messages, because last time, if you remember, we were losing the packets, or I guess, you know, we were not using them, so they were getting lost. Okay, and on line 116 we need to pass here the server. So server, is it? Yeah, it's server. Okay, so let's recompile the thing. Let's build this, and something failed, right? That's interesting. Like abort call from message means that something probably failed here. Let's go into net, or I guess message probably. Interesting, because we handle the message. So abort call from message means that, like, if we take a look at net.cl, right, and I think here we should have a class message at some point. It calls abort. So for some reason, player input, the serialize, for some reason it called abort. Interesting. So yeah, like I guess on receive itself it looks like. I will try to do the following: show the kind, basically. New IO out string kind. I think that looks fine. So if we rebuild this, build client, strange, it didn't even try to do that. Well, we got a kind 4 here, which is fine. But why no message there, I guess? So yeah, interesting. I mean, I would expect to see something there because like it literally tries to do something. So let's do a print here, new IO. We are waiting for input. I think that looks fine. Current player 4 waiting for input, right? So then it gets into the receive, right? It gets into receive. And if we take, I guess I should just do that. If we take a look into net and take a look at the receive of this. Oh, what the hell? Okay. I guess we can. I should do new message helper deserialize. New message helper deserialize. Well, yeah, I stole this from Rust. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, this kind of sucks. I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't realize that. Ooh, this kind of sucks. Because net.cl doesn't have message helper. It should probably get it as an argument in receive. Or maybe it should take it as an argument in init. Let's add a to-do here, for example. To-do message helper should be serde and got from init. And it shouldn't come here. Okay, but now this one should work. Right, so interesting. I don't. Yeah, it moved to what? Interesting. Okay, but at least stuff works, right? At least stuff works to some extent. But like the position on X was scuffed. Okay, and not sure about that. So let's take a look in message. How do we handle player input, right? And how we deserialize it. So we take only one byte, we convert it to an int, compare it with 0. Okay, I guess Yeah, kind of makes sense. Oh, we have also ID, but I mean the ID is the ID. So it shouldn't matter. Oh, no. I should maybe print this thing. So let's do that. So new io.out string, and let's pass this thing and then just return it. So let's see, I guess, what this shows on the client. So it's like only twos. Interesting. So the rest is 0 basically. Concat ID and stuff, so everything should be 0. We can also show the length. Length to string. So yeah, I mean, I guess we can just rebuild this. And oh no. I guess we have this thing running or something. Usually if this happens, I just search for 8080 and replace it with the, how is it called, new address. So yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. So let's retry. So this should show, it shows 13, right? So it looks good. Message. So yeah, like the message structure looks good, right? So I'm not sure why, and everything was zeros. So because here we create a new byte, we say if it's equal to 0 it's false, and then we apply not to it. So it's interesting that, like, whoa, wait a second, let's go back. Oh, let's go back to server.cl, and here where we handle if input key A new IO received it. I mean, come on, the like Copilot is so bad it doesn't even want to out int input key A to int. Okay, this time hopefully it. Okay, I guess I called it so out int. Let's see. Game client. So what? Board called from class tuple? The hell? Ah, interesting. Wait, what? second. So I guess net.cl receive returns a tuple. How does it even wait, how does it compile then? Wait, this is so strange, because wait, what? Because like, yeah, this returns a tuple, right? Wait a second. Oh, this returns message. Okay, so let's actually do the same as we did. Okay, let's actually fix all the stuff from here. So it's gonna be like this, and let's add here the serialize. That doesn't do anything basically, it just aborts, so we have to implement this on our stuff. So init then also has to take in an s for serde, do that, and now instead of creating a new message helper we can say serde deserialize. So that's the first thing, and then let's replace this with the correct one. Right, so then let's just for now let's just do this, and we'll do that later. I guess let's keep the handle buffer somewhere here. We'll do this later. So this also has a serde and needs an s serde here. So yeah, but yeah, we'll handle that later. But now I just wanted to, okay, we don't do this, we only do this part where we actually return the message. So now in here we, yeah, I guess it wasn't crashing because it was working on all of them. So inside of the server, when we initialize it, we need to pass in a new message helper, and we should do the same for the client. So here we pass in a new message helper. We rebuild this, worked first try, that's nice. Game client, and yeah, now it works. It means that we had an issue with the serializer. So yeah, now we get the right inputs, 0, 0, 0. But I'm curious, what if we actually, oh my god, what if we actually pass in inputs? It actually changes, right? That's pretty cool. So now that we have the inputs, let's make a small commit with what we have so far so that we don't lose this. So this is handling input, handle input. Well, I guess let's just not include printing. So we can remove this stuff, the semicolon and this. Still compiles, that's good. Okay, so message didn't even have a change. That's perfect. Okay, inside of net we added this to our base serializer class, right? We added this to the client. Sure, we also added to the constructor, and we change this and this, the same thing as for the client. And right now we have this, but we need to change it in the server. And then for the server we made the player behave as a thread, be as a thread, and here we added a message helper. Okay, perfect. So we can also add this, but just let me remove the messages from here, we don't need them. So that would be all for this part. So feature and player input, I guess that's okay. So let's see what's next. I guess the player is probably done. So let's take a look at the server. Oh, we have to broadcast all the messages. Okay. I guess the position is applied, right? So we actually need to have a while loop that broadcasts the player position to all players. So I mean, we have a broadcast, right? I guess I can just make another method like sync players is going to return an object, why not? And what it has to do is iterate over all the players, like here, right? It iterates over all the players like that. And here instead of sending that, it has to broadcast a message, right? So it has to, let's say it's gonna broadcast, and I think yeah, I think this completion is fine from Copilot, because we can take the player ID, I think. Let's see, can take it. We can also take the positions, so yeah, it should be fine, because player position needs the ID, X and Y. So this syncs the players, right? And I think we also need to sync coin, which is simpler because, wait a second, why does it do coin update? I guess it makes sense to do coin update at some point. Guess it makes sense. I mean, we do player update on each frame because of this. Well, I guess not necessarily each frame, but each time we have input. But we don't do coin update, so I guess that's a good find. I mean, coin update should be done, only when it's consumed, but doesn't matter, we can afford to do it here. So then that means we need a while true loop, right? And I think sync player, sync coin would be nice to have sleep, but no. Let's just try this. Let's try to run it every time. So this would be like sync the players, sync the player position. So let's see if this works. Make game. Oh. 171. 171. Obviously should have been like this. Alright, so make game, we build a server, we build a client. Oh, nothing happens. I guess we don't handle something. Okay, I mean, fair enough, it died. Sync players. Okay. I mean, wait a second. Do we even? I mean, we handled that on the client side. So. But it doesn't even say player update, so it means that something's wrong. Okay. So we don't even do player update. Interesting. So that doesn't really work then. Because we should see player update, but we didn't. Okay. Let's go back to the server. And when we do sync players, I guess I would like to see some info. I mean, I guess we can say something new IO. Guess we can outstring player, then we can out int and stuff. Hopefully the message is fine. Okay. Oh my god. Build the server. Yeah, like nothing happens when I do input. But it's interesting because we saw that the input was working. Right? So how can that happen? Okay, let's see. So this actually updates the position, right? Man, this actually updates the position, right? So in this one we do that, we create a new player. I mean, it's interesting, like actually they do update, right? They do update. I just didn't see that. So the messages are called fine. It's just that here it says it's a 00, although it's not. So let's see here how it looks like. So instead of doing function, let's do oh my god, wow, let's do this. So player update, maybe that's the player update. So it's saying like player update, right? But it's no longer saying the message for broadcasting. What? I don't really get that. So why would this thing stop? Let me just run it again, because it didn't really look like it crashed or something. But after a while we no longer get the messages for coin update and what? Like it stopped doing sync for some reason. But it's not like any crash, or I don't know. Or maybe it is a crash. So sync players. It just iterates over the list of players and it does this, right? I really don't understand that. I mean, maybe I have another idea. Let's do the following. Let's add receive here for a player, and instead of passing the server directly here, let's pass, wow, that would be, I don't even know that. I guess can we do self? I would want the player to actually have a reference to the lobby, so it's player lobby instead of server, right? Player lobby, so let's say it's gonna be lobby, so it's gonna be like LB, and here lobby is equal to lobby, and here when we do while true, let's do lobby receive, and let's broadcast the position in update, because yeah, maybe there's something to do with this while true statement, I don't know. So let's try that. Oops, let's try to do not sync players but this part. Let's do it here. So let's say player update, whatever, and we create a new message from the player position and stuff, and we send that message like broadcast, lobby.broadcast. Right, we send to everyone the new position of the player that was just updated. So maybe that's gonna work better, I don't know. Okay, so we no longer do the update there, but we still have to update the coins at some point. So we'll have to see how we can update the coins. But let's see if this changes anything. Make a game. So we actually, that worked, right? So how about spawning a new client? And we actually have player movement. That's pretty nice. Actually have multiplayer gaming. That's, yeah, I don't know why that was an issue before. My guess is that, I don't know, something blocked in the main thread and caused it to crash. Maybe we should spawn a separate thread for doing updates, but I don't know. Well, we don't handle player exiting the game, so we'll also have to do that at some point, but not yet. For now, let's just try to get to, I don't know, something playable at some extent. So let's go back to client, and yeah, we can see that the player update works, right? Player update is working. So if I just don't want to see a lot of printing, so because it's distracting. Okay, but now we have to update the coin position. Right, we have to do that. How can we actually do that without doing a while loop here? Because that looked like it blocked it. Well, I guess we have to sync coin. Yeah, like I guess we have to sync the coin each time a new player is introduced. So we broadcast all the whatever, do that, and here at the end let's send to the player also the coin. So we take this message, sync coin, and we want to, I guess we can even just, to not waste time, just call sync coin, right? And then we should have, I mean, we can just, you know, do sync coin or something, right? So each time someone gets added to the server, I didn't build it. Interesting, I thought I did. But I guess the coin is not synced. Strange. Because I said sync coin. Ooh, that's pretty strange. So new IO. Okay, let's see again. Yeah, I mean updating coin. So that's actually working. Right, the coin is being updated. And probably even sent to everyone. Oh, I know, it's because we have to put it after we add the player to the list. Okay, whoa, what? I guess I forgot to delete the semicolon. So let's write it, now we have the right position of the coin. I mean, it is what it is. We update the coin each time we spawn a player, but it's, I mean, it's whatever. We can just send a message one by one, or just have a single function, don't worry about it, and yeah, that's it. So I guess the next thing that has to happen is to allow the players to actually hit the coin, and that's gonna happen also on the server. And let's see, I think we already have something that does that. Don't know where it is. Oh, it's this one. If the position is equal to, okay, yeah. So let's go on the server and let's add a score to the player, which is gonna be like 0, right? Each player is gonna have a score. We don't do anything with it yet. We might display it in the UI, see how we can do that, but for now I guess it makes sense for the coin to check for collisions with everyone, or it doesn't make sense. I guess that means that the coin needs, okay, let's do it in the player lobby. So we are gonna have collision check. Basically it's gonna be an object, right? So the collision check needs to iterate all the players, right? It needs to iterate all the players. Iterate all the players. Okay. Then I guess we should have, second, we should probably do I mean, we can take the coin X and coin Y, sure, why not? But yeah, we iterate all the players. I was just thinking, I mean, we have consume. Just thinking that if a player is, two players collide with the coin at the same time, the one that joined first will have precedence. I guess somehow you have to deal with that, so, and that should work. So we have, if we have a player, right, we should probably do something like this, but we don't have that yet. I wouldn't do sync coin right here. I would probably do sync coin at the end, because I don't want to randomly, like, you know, I much rather think that this is a better idea. So like, we have a collision, right, with the coin, so we then I guess we then go through all the players, finish them, and only afterwards we sync the coin. So that means that if two players go on at the same time, they still get a score. So that's okay, I guess. Let's have score inc, increase or whatever. I wouldn't do the message yet, but maybe that's a to-do, add score message or something in the future. So now instead of doing this, we have to say player score increase. But yeah, we need to call this collision method in a while true loop. So for some reason it didn't work when we did it here. Let's try again, because I'm too lazy to actually implement the real thing. So unexpected token 187. Well, it's only one equal. Whoa, bro, that's why I have to stop trusting Copilot. But it's still amazing how quickly it understood the language. I mean, with enough examples, sure, it's game client. Yeah, it doesn't work when I do the while loop there. So I guess it's time for a new class. Class collision detection inherits thread, right? And it should have this method. Let's steal it. And let's do that inside of run. So now, wow, run object is gonna do a while true loop. So yeah, I think that looks good. So probably what we need now is the list of players. We need the coin. So coin. Right. We need anything else? Ooh, we need a reference to lobby. For sync. Yeah. Well, I guess sync coin, I would do it then in here, right? But we need a reference to lobby for the broadcast. We still need a reference to the lobby for broadcast, so we don't get rid of that. But so lobby, and then in init, come on, you can do it. Nice. All right. So we can actually create the thread here, I guess. So collision is gonna be something like this, right? I guess we can init it like that, like as long as we don't change. Yeah, I mean the reference changes, so it's fine. I mean the reference will not change like the in-memory object doesn't change, I think, so it's fine. So when we initialize this, well, I guess we don't do anything on initialize. So instead, what we need to do is here say something like pthread spawn collision. I think syncoin is no longer needed there. Okay, so let's see, make it 173. Oh, wow, it was only a while loop in this. That's pretty cool. Make game. Build game server. Oh, doesn't work. What a surprise. Okay, I guess. Then, okay, let me just go back, revert to when we had the collision inside of the lobby. Because I guess, I mean, it is what it is. Right, so did I? No, I deleted this. Okay, so it means that we actually need sleep for the while loop, or maybe call to collision only when someone moves. I guess we can also do that. So instead of doing this here and you know, occupying the entire process with collision check, maybe we can say lobby.collision in here, right? But it should be collision only with us. So maybe I can say player ID. Or we can pass self lobby collision with the player, and maybe here have player, it's a player, and we only do this part. So something like this, right? Like this. Sheesh. So when you move, basically, it also checks this for a collision. So we don't need this. I mean, we can say it's easier to do something like coin.poseY, not have that, only have the if and the sync. And yeah, I guess for this one it might make sense to, oh yeah, like now it's no longer handled the intersection with multiple players at once, but that's like never gonna happen, who knows. So we check for collision and then broadcast. Okay, like if this doesn't work, questionable. Okay, so now we have the thing. Perfect. All right, so if we go to the client, right, and just new IO, remove the message from here because it's annoying, right? We know that it works. Like if there are I guess messages that are shown each frame, it's annoying, but messages like add player or authorize player, they are called only once, so it's fine to have them. Anyway, let's see now what happens if we try to run multiple clients. Oh, I forgot to run the server. So we run the server. My god, the issue with the tmax thing. Okay, so well, we actually see that happening on both clients. That's pretty nice. Right, I mean, I cannot simulate both of them taking the coin at once, but yeah, we actually have multiplayer gaming inside of cool language. It's pretty nice. I mean, still the game is not complete, still pretty trash, but nonetheless we have some kind of multiplayer. That's pretty neat. So I guess the next thing on the list would be to actually show the score. So, but for that we would need a score message. I think that's, I guess it's doable, probably. And maybe afterwards cleaning up a bit the disconnection. I guess when the client disconnects from the server, we should probably send a message, or somehow, let's say, let's see. I guess when the client disconnects, this kind of crashes, right? The receive, lobby receive, and that's also true for the, so this is server receive. Oh, and we didn't implement yet the buffer. That's something we can do, but first let's see the commit messages. So for the client we didn't do anything. That's interesting. I mean, we just reformatted the code, but that's just nothing. And here we added the lobby inside of the player so that we could do receive, I guess, like have access to broadcast and collision, basically. So that was the idea. And then we added, I don't know what's this, I guess we had extra squirrely braces for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I guess here instead of passing the server we passed the lobby. We added sync coin when we spawn a new player, just so that we are sure that the coin is synced. Then sync coin and the collision check. Yeah, I think that's good. So what we learned is that we cannot really use the main thread there, or at least we need the sleep function to do that. So feature add movement and coin sync. That was pretty neat. Yeah, and as I said, as we did for the client, we might as well want to buffer thing that we read from the client. Although what I saw is that we don't send more than one message in one frame. But what if we do? So we kind of have to do buffering. So my idea is to have this client buffer class, which has a, so I guess as an explanation for how it worked on the client, we had a single buffer, which is a string, and each time we call to receive, we check if that buffer is empty, and if it is empty, then we try to read from the socket, otherwise we use the buffer instead, right? And we try to deserialize then from the buffer. So if we read multiple messages at once, we don't throw away the tail, I guess, of the messages. We continue to use it. Now this is a bit of an issue when, let's say, we read only half of a message, but I mean, we don't have messages that big anyway, so I don't think it's, I mean, probably it is possible to send 100 messages, and then the 100th one would be right on the edge and probably not fit in the buffer, so yeah. But I mean, we'll handle that error when we encounter it, so not right now, basically. Like, sure, it's not difficult. I remember how I did it in the past, but I mean, it's more of a chore, so it's not like this is enough for now. But I guess the point is that for the server we cannot have only one buffer, because we have multiple file descriptors, multiple sockets from where we read. So that means we need a buffer for each socket, right? So that's why I made this class, client buffer, which is going to have one buffer and the basically client ID, right? So initially we have an empty list of buffers, and I think that when we add, let's see, like when we add a new client, I guess in accept, when we add a new client, we need to add a new buffer to the list. So let's try to do that. Basically do this, right? Close the thing, then we have that, and here we need to add a new buffer. So buffers is equal to buffers dot append new client buffer. All right, it looks good. So that's how we add a new buffer, right? Now we need to iterate the buffers, find the buffer client that we, I guess, have the socket for, right? And then use its buffer to do this stuff. So let's see how we can do that. Basically we need a let, iterator is going to be a list, and we are going to pass in the buffers, right? I guess afterwards we need the while loop. So, well, let's also say that we have a buffer which is a buffer client, but for now it's gonna be void. I think it should be a void. So then we can have a while loop So we are going to have a while loop while not is void iterator. We are going to loop and then we are going to pull. Right. But yeah, I think we might need a block here. So it's going to be like this. Gonna be like that. So if, oops, I guess, oh, we have buffer and sockfd, that's perfect. I mean, we'll see how I can do that. If, interesting, we might need a case here, so case iterator value of, so this is how we take, I guess let's do like that. So let's say just b is gonna be a buffer client, then I think it looks good. But why not do and here like 0? Why not have this? So if that, then we set the buffer, else it's 0, and then we iterate. So we also need this part. And if b is an object, then, oh, we don't do it. Actually, we need to do this. Yeah. So it's the same as iterating over players, basically. We have a case. If we have the buffer client, then we just set this, otherwise don't do anything, and then we iterate to the next buffer. Right. That's nice. And I guess we need this thing in here. So how are we gonna do that? Oh, I mean, so we have the reference to the buffer, right? We have the reference to the buffer. I guess we can call it buffer client, or maybe just client. Yeah, let's try with buffer client. Right, like this. And then maybe have a buffer which is gonna be a string, which is empty. So buffer is gonna be, if buffer is empty, then we try to read, otherwise it's buffer, right? But I guess first we need to set buffer to be a buffer client dot buffer, right? Set that. Okay, then what we have to do is try to deserialize the buffer, and this is the same thing as, we basically do the same thing here. So then we have also the same thing there. We have this, yeah, this in can stay there. We have for tuple we set the buffer back, and for the message we just return the message. But in here we want to do more than just set the buffer back, but we want to also, I guess it's still only one instruction, we want to set the buffer of the client. So let's go back here and say set buffer, like that. So we are going to call to set buffer on the buffer client. So buffer client set buffer. Okay, so I think 189. Yeah, I need a semicolon. 204. Interesting. What? Oh, we don't need a block. Actually we don't need a block. So yeah, we iterate all the buffers, we take the one that's has the same sockfd, then we have this thing here with which is the same as for the client, deserialize. Then I guess instead of doing the same as for the client with the buffer equals buff, we do this, and that's just because here we just return the message. So yeah, I mean we can declare the message here and return it at the end, but it's the same thing. So let's see. Wait, what? Buffer client. Oh, it's client buffer. Client buffer. Anyway, let me just rename also this client buffer. Oh, and it's client buffer. Okay, 170. So type list. One seventy. No, 170. Oh. So I guess here we need let result int is equal to this, right? We need to let the result, then we need to say in, right? And here we have this and result. So oh yeah, that's how it should probably look like. Okay, we don't need that, and here we handle the buffer, so it's fine. Okay, so it looks like that actually worked. Okay, but we I mean obviously we fucked up somewhere. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know where. I think it's like it should block if it gets to this point. So it didn't get to this point, it died somewhere here. Oh yeah, so actually I figured out that we get the client buffer is null. So I mean, as I said, that we don't need to see those exceptions. I guess we actually do, you know, the dispatch on void and stuff. because that's what happens here. Like client buffer is void, right? So it's not gonna work. And I guess accept actually returns the client descriptor. So we actually had to do that. So yeah, now it works. And I don't think it should influence the game because we didn't send too many messages anyway. So, but it's a good idea to have it before you know, anything else fancy. But yeah, like we have basically we have multiplayer inside of our language. And I guess what's next is to add the score on the screen and maybe not allow the players to go out of bounds, but that's easy. Like to wrap. Oh, that was strange. I guess I pressed oh, something broke when I went out of bounds. Yeah, something. He became unaligned. Oh, I guess we cannot send negative numbers through the network, so yeah. So that's why, I mean, we need to not allow players to go out of bounds, because that's funny. That can happen. But yeah, so I guess that's the plan for next time. Probably handle the exit, show the score, and not allow the players out of bounds. So yeah, so here we actually worked on the networking, and it was just fix, improve the buffering for server, something like that. Yeah, I think it's good. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I guess one last thing that I want to do is change this back to 8080. And yeah, so clean up the threads. Let's leave some to do comments, I guess. Add a score message. To do keep players within bounds. Sure. The same as the coin, basically. So keep the players within bounds. Show the score. Clean up threads and stuff. Okay, probably let's go into message and have here like a to do, add disconnect message / quit, I don't know, like server stopped, some crap like that. And I guess the client needs to probably do and an exit condition. Yeah, I guess that's, I mean, the exit condition that I thought it would work was this, but doesn't work. I mean, it looks like this is fine, so we can ignore that. And yeah, so that's the last thing that we need to do in the client. Basically add exit condition and maybe to do add score UI, right? add the UI for the score and the exit condition. So yeah, I guess that's a decent plan for the next one. Yeah, then it means that we almost are done with the game. So docs. We actually have, well, I should have run make first, make game. So make the client. Oh, forgot about that. Okay, let's make a few clients. See what happens when we have 4 players. Does it still work with 4 players? Looks like it does. I think I went out of bounds with that one or something, but yeah, the position was scuffed for them, but anyway, I guess it's so many that I'm not really sure where where the players are at. But whoa, okay, so I guess when a player exits, everyone exits, so yeah. Okay, I guess this also comes in the change. But yeah, I guess that's it for today, and yeah, we no longer have one. But yeah, I guess that's it. Next time we have to add the UI and do some clean up with the threads and stuff. Like when a player exits, we shouldn't crash the game. We should just delete the player, I guess. And yeah, we'll see how we can do that in the next one.